Hello, my name is Stephen Isles and I'd like to talk about PTSD in policing in particular. But what I'd like to focus on is the unspoken subculture within policing. One of the reasons that policing management and government are reticent to accept concerns more broadly for PTSD and improved management of mental health in policing is because one aspect is police management, hierarchical process, and cultural issues significantly impact on officer and employee well-being. My history: I was a Northern Territory police officer for almost 8 years. My father, beside me, was a Queensland police officer for almost 36 years. My father disappeared while on duty, while in uniform, after attending work on the 23rd of September 2009, and he never came home. He has never been found. Now, this is something that Queensland Police and the Queensland Government have been reluctant to speak of. More broadly, the controversies surrounding the lead up to my father's disappearance and a bid to silence our family after his disappearance is what took utmost priority. Concerningly, the current Queensland Police Commissioner, Ian Stewart, immediately after my father's disappearance, fabricated or led an action fabricating an allegation that I threatened to shoot the Queensland Police Commissioner. This was supported in collusion by my then boss, the Northern Territory Police Commissioner, John McRoberts. It's a busy month, April 2018, because this sees the trial begin of former Northern Territory Police Commissioner John McRoberts having been charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice. I personally brought a criminal action charging my boss, John McRoberts, with abuse of office, an action that ultimately didn't fail, but rather was set aside for official interpretation to be had at a higher court level over whether abuse of office in the Northern Territory extended to include a person who was a public officer and not just a police officer, and when he signed the correspondence that was used against me, he in fact was acting as a police officer or a public officer. Now, I challenged some 5 months later the Queensland Police Service in Queensland courts. The matter alleging I threatened to shoot the Queensland Police Commissioner was dismissed by the judge, the registrar, in less than 20 minutes. The Queensland Police Service was ordered to reinstate my firearms licence effective immediately. Not only this, a couple of years later, in 2016, the Queensland Government swore me as an officer of the court, a justice of the peace. And certainly I put it to you that if anyone, and in this situation, a police officer from another jurisdiction had in fact truly, or even could be demonstrated in part, had threatened to shoot a Commissioner of Police, then there is no way I would be able to carry a firearms licence claiming I'm a fit and proper person, or be sworn as a guardian of the community and carry accreditation as a Justice of the Peace. Immediately after my father's disappearance, my employer, the Northern Territory Police Force, did not shift to check on my welfare, rather joined forces to actually spread rumour that I had been involved in the killing of my father and that I was in fact a psychopath. Now, concerningly, my father, the picture you see on my left, a police officer in Queensland for almost 36 years, a decorated police officer, achieving Commissioner's commendations, the Mount Isa Mayor's Lantern Award for his involvement in youth problems and getting the youth club constructed off the ground in Cloncurran. Now, after Dad's disappearance, it actually took 3 years for his police medals to be returned. It took almost 8 years for any of my father's property to be provided. An appointment was made on the 14th of June 2017 to return my father's property, and concerningly, what was placed on the table was this $20 note. This $20 note was to signify the return of my father's property. My mother couldn't handle what occurred with returning my so-called father's property. She left the cafe where we'd met with the Assistant Commissioner. I signed the property indemnity release that was to signify my father's property had been returned, but not before taking a photo to show that that is in fact all that had been returned. On the 19th of March 2018, some 6 years after the final medals were actually given to my mother, we received my father's completed statement of service. Again, something that took more than 6 years. What is concerning is police operate largely on a brotherhood, bravado, a barbecue set. Barbecue sets depend on who's warming the seat at the time, and they change dependent upon the hierarchy at the time. If you're in, you'll be looked after. If you're not, you won't. We are fighting now for my father, Queensland Police Senior Sergeant Michael Isles, to be formally memorialised, noting that without question he died in the carriage of his service, having never returned home on the 23rd of September 2009 to sign off shift. And he was in uniform, he was on active duty. I put it to you that cultural shift must occur within policing. Elitism must leave the building so we can protect police, emergency service employees, and more so our defence. Now, concerning is the Deputy Police Commissioner of Operations in Queensland that was responsible for bringing the allegation to silence our family that I had threatened to shoot the Queensland Police Commissioner is now the Queensland Police Commissioner, Ian Stewart. My father only had 18 months before he retired through compulsory retirement in Queensland at the age of 60. All he wanted was simply that, to serve the community in the way he knew best, as a name and not a number. My father unwittingly became the victim of some more sinister bastardisation, extreme bullying within the workplace, which culminated under the guise of Assistant Commissioner Paul Wilson with a corrupt manifestation of a CCC, a Crime and Corruption Committee process that was manipulated through divisiveness to bring my father unstuck. My father was stood down for 13 months pending the outcome of fabricated search warrants. No charges, no nothing, just removed from his position as officer in charge of the Air Police Station in Queensland. Having returned to work, after having his name fully exonerated publicly by the Queensland Police Commissioner, my father attended work for 2 days, but on the third day, he went to work travelling between Ayr and Townsville, and he was never seen again. Even with extensive searches, not so much as a sign of human movement in the area the vehicle was found. Our family certainly have not given up pursuit, but rather we've intensified pursuit. And I put it to Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk that your Commissioner will not speak to our family for a number of years. Your Minister for Police will not speak to our family. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, you will not speak to our family. We have raised concerns of corruption. We can evidence concerns of corruption. Rather, we've been given the fob off. How can we truly expect change? Overall improvement of welfare management within policing if we rather turn a blind eye to what can go on. Many sociopaths make their way through the ranks of policing with greed, one of their driving notions. Greed for money and power. And this is why my father was targeted. Whether my father took his own life or whether in fact he met with foul play at the hands of other police is something we may not find an outcome to. However, the story of the corruption he was confronted with is something that will be told. We have been given or bestowed the honour, the ability to take the Queensland Police Commissioner, Ian Stewart, to the federal court based on discrimination for my father not being recognised. This is the first time the Queensland Police Commissioner has been taken to court since Palm Island, where a discrimination against the Queensland Police was ruled. I believe that given the extent of the involvement of ministers across Australia, members for Parliament across Australia, other commissioners of police across Australia, that there will be change, noting that there is precedent now in Canada found by the Chief Human Rights Commissioner that it was in fact, or is in fact, discriminatory to exclude the memorial recognition of police lost to PTSD-related suicide, noting that there is no contrast or delineation between psychological injury and physical injury as long as it is causatively linked to occurring through their employment. My father will be recognised on the Queensland Police Memorial, and it is my belief that the Queensland Premier, the Queensland Government, the Commissioner of Queensland Police will concede and not allow this argument to go full flight and carry to the floor of federal court, as there is too much to lose. There is a backstory. The Queensland Police Commissioner will face questions over his maliciously construing prosecution to silence our family, rather than focusing on the recognition of one of their own. However, Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, should you see this video, if you do choose to let the matter go all the way to the federal court, then I look forward to 8 years culmination of a challenge. I look forward to the legal representation to come, and I look forward to the argument. Because when you are driven by determination, when a family member, a child, a parent or a sibling has been impacted adversely in this way or similar, you do not walk away if you have the capacity and the tenacity to go further. I ask each and every one of you who watches this clip, if possible, to share, to like, to comment, to get involved. Elitism is prevailing in a bigger way, especially over the last 30 to 35 years in Queensland and Australia. One of my father's favourite mantras is fish is fish. We are all equal. No one is better than someone else. Everyone has a place in society, whether it be someone who drives a garbage truck or someone who is a heart surgeon. We all have a place to making society continue to revolve. Now, in my father's name, Queensland Police Senior Sergeant Michael Isles, I ask as many of you as possible, serving police, members of the community, those with an interest, those with any questions to ask, even if you feel that you can't show your support publicly, as many have, because of your position or concern for being adversely impacted, then I implore you to write to me, to email me, to ask questions, to message me through Facebook. I'll be more than happy to answer. My father used to always say as well that never tell a lie, because then you've got nothing to look over your shoulder and try and remember the stories that you've told. My father used to always say as well, after completing my trade in boilermaking and looking to police as a career option, never operate on bluff, because too many people in policing do, and there is always one person to read that you are in fact operating on bluff. I ask you, Minister for Police Mark Ryan, I ask you, Commissioner of Queensland Police Ian Stewart, I ask you, Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, attempt to call my bluff, and I am confident that you will find I will not flinch. I look forward to an outcome in 2018, a position that is supported by many dignitaries across Australia. But it takes pressure and sometimes unwavering tenacity to ensure we see change. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to reporting back when change is here and my father, after approaching 9 years, is finally recognised.